What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome. Today we've got the iPhone 11 in studio, and we're going to be looking at how good it still performs and if it's still worth buying in 2025. The phone was launched back in 2019 and is about 6 years old. But let's take a look at how well it holds up, how well it's still performing today, and if it's worth your money if you're looking for a budget phone. Let's start by looking at the display. So up front, we've got a 6.1-inch liquid retina display. It's got a resolution of 1792 by 828 pixels with a pixel density of 326. Now this display was a bit controversial because of the resolution. So in essence, the phone has a peak resolution of 720p, which a lot of people didn't really like, given that the phone was going up against phones that had better resolution and punchier displays at the times. A lot of the phones that were coming out in 2019 had OLED displays, and it was a bit strange for Apple to release a phone that had a LCD display. It gets pretty bright at 625 nits max brightness, not the brightest by today's standard, but if I spend time with the phone, I've realized that it actually still has good visibility, especially when you're outdoors. Indoors, you have no problem looking and seeing what's on the screen, and outdoors, it's the same. You will get a bit of reflection or glare if you're outdoors and it's very bright and it's very sunny, but most of the times you have no problem viewing the phone and seeing content on the screen when you're outdoors at max brightness. Now the display itself is still very sharp. Unless if you're pixel peeping, you will not see any pixels or anything like that. The display is very sharp when it comes to viewing whatever you're looking at, whether it's watching videos or looking at scrolling through social media and things like that, reading text and all that. The display is still very good. At the end of the day, it's still an Apple display, and this is still an Apple device. You'll notice as well that this phone has a notch. That's where the selfie camera is housed. You've got the earpiece right there. And this also houses Face ID, which we'll talk about a bit later. Now let's move across the rest of the phone. And you can see that on the left side, we've got the silent switch, which is now gone, replaced by the action button on newer Apple devices. You've got the volume up and volume down button. Going all the way to the back, you've got a dual camera set up there, Apple logo at the back, and this is a glass at the back. And it's a fingerprint magnet, so you will be occasionally buffing that up if you are going to be using the phone without a case. And on the right side, you've got your side button or power button and your SIM tray as well. At the bottom, you will notice that you've got your charging port there, which is a lightning port. This is a very old phone. 6 years is considered old in the tech space. So it's still got the lightning port compared to newer Apple devices, which now feature Type-C. You've got the speaker grill and you've got microphones on the other side. So there's a single firing speaker at the bottom. Although the phone actually has a stereo speaker setup where the other audio fires from the earpiece as well. So that's pretty much about the phone. Aluminium frame, which is still very strong. It has held up very, very well. A few scuff marks for a phone. I think that's to be expected for a phone that's 6 years old, but it still looks very good. If you get a phone that's been taken care of very well, or if you have taken care of your phone, you will find that the phone still looks very good and still looks very new, as you can see here. This phone was a pre-owned phone when I got it, and you can see that it shows a bit of character from the previous user or users. You see like there's a little crack there, things like that. But overall, the body and the design of the phone has held up. If you're thinking about durability, a very durable phone, 6 years, and the phone still looks very, very good. So let's look at the internals of the device. So this phone runs on an A13 Bionic chip. This was a 7 nanometer chip when it came out, and still gives a very good performance. Scrolling through the phone itself, there are no problems. I haven't noticed any hiccups with the phone. This was paired with 4 gigabytes of RAM, actually not 8, it's 4 gigabytes of RAM, and still performs very, very well today. Jumping into a few apps, it does take slightly longer compared to the newer phones, but nothing that really feels slow. Jumping into a couple of apps, just scrolling through the UI, you will notice that the phone does pretty well. It doesn't stutter, there's no hiccups, everything just works as it should. Jumping into the calculator app, you see that, jumping into the campus, everything is smooth, everything works nicely. It's not in any regard a slow phone. It is slower than the newer devices. So that A13 chip, based on my experience with the phone, has really been good. Now the phones also have different configurations when it comes to storage. You can grab these in 64 gigs, 128, 256. This never went up to the 512 or the 1 terabyte. That was reserved for the higher models within the lineup. So when you're going to be buying this phone, keep that in mind and really consider what you're going to be using for the phone. If you're going to be taking a lot of photos, shooting a lot of videos, you might want to go for the 256, but that would mean you're going to be paying a bit more for the phone. Even though it is used, or even though it's going to be pre-owned, you will be paying a bit more, given that the phone itself, depending on what you configure it, but across the lineup, 4 gigabytes of RAM, A13 Bionic chip. The operating system on the phone currently is iOS 18.5. Now, the phone being a 6-year-old phone, still getting updates, as Apple does supports its phones for a very, very long time. iOS 18.5, this is the latest version of iOS currently, or that is actually a stable version. iOS 26 is still in beta. I believe it's still in developer beta at the time of recording. We are expecting the public beta version of iOS 26 anytime soon, so I will be upgrading to that to test out and see how the iPhone 11 handles the iOS 26 early on, and I will be doing a video on that, so be sure to look out for that video following this video. Now let's talk about the cameras. Now the iPhone 11 features a dual camera setup. The Pro phones featured a triple camera setup. So if you're someone who needs a bit more from their camera, you will have to look at the Pro models, as they feature a third camera. Now, the iPhone 11 features a 12 megapixel wide and ultra wide camera. So there is no telephoto. The zoom on this phone is 2 times optical and up to 5 times digital zoom. In my experience, it's decent, not the best, but you will be able to get decent shots with that 5 times zoom. Given that you're not trying to zoom too far, details will be okay. But with the main camera, I've seen that the camera does perform very well. You still get good shots at the end of the day. Still an Apple camera. So let's just grab something here so that you can kind of see. I've got a deck of cards here. I'm just going to launch the camera there. So as you can see in the viewfinder, you still do get good details, no shutter lag. I'm just going to flip that over again. So there really isn't any shutter lag when it comes to using the camera. It's still very fast. You've got your portrait mode for those who like portrait shots. That is present. You've got your video. This actually goes up to 4K. So that's 4K 60 frames. I think that's the highest that this camera will go, 4K. So there you've got your ultra wide, where you can record ultra wide video with using that ultra wide lens. still very good. So you still get a very decent camera. I will put up a few shots so that you guys can see how the camera performs and how good the photos are. And then you've got the selfie camera right there. And that selfie camera is 12 megapixels as well. So still very decent, no shutter lag, very good, gives you very good photos, very good details. So you still are getting a very good camera when if you do decide to get the iPhone 11.
That's what we just left. The one here, that building right up, there's a restaurant there. Yeah, because we bought the stairs.
11. Now, in terms of security, you can be using a PIN if you want to unlock the phone, but the most iPhone users go for Face ID, and you really, I think that's one of the most secure ways to lock your phone, and you do get that here with the iPhone 11. And it works perfectly. I've had no problems using it to unlock the phone and use it for other things. Let's talk about the battery. As I mentioned earlier on, you are not going to get these brand new. You might in other places, but mostly these are going to be used or pre-owned phones or refurbished phones. So the battery capacity that was initially designed for the iPhone 11 was 3,110 milliamp hours. That was the original capacity. If you're going to be buying this pre-owned, I recommend that you get something that's got at least 80% battery life. On this particular model, I'm just going to quickly jump into the battery menu there. Let's quickly get in there. So you will see it's already recommending service. As you can see, I hope that's very clear to you. This phone has 76%, is a battery health of 76%. So this basically means of that original battery capacity, what's left is 76%. Through the usage of this phone, I've had it for a couple of months now. I managed to get at least, let's actually go back to a bit of a normal day on Friday. I managed to get 5 hours screen on time and 5 hours screen off time, which is still very, very good. Even with 76% battery health, I still managed to get 5 hours of screen on time. And I must highlight that this is with light usage. If you're going to be pushing the phone, playing games, recording a lot of video, doing anything that's requires the phone to really work, you're going to be getting significantly less screen on time, and you're going to be getting significantly less screen battery life out of the phone. So I would recommend carrying around a charger, just in case you might be needing to charge the phone again. So basically, that's about the iPhone 11. When it comes to pricing, here in South Africa, you will be getting this phone around 4,500 rands and above. I believe in the US or internationally, you are probably looking at prices around the $100 mark, $150, going upwards. Again, depending on how you configure the phone, whether you're getting a phone with 128 gigs or 256, that's also going to depend on the condition of the phone. If you're getting something that's been lightly used, that's still in good condition, that price could still be higher. So I will put links down in the link below for those in South Africa, and even those internationally. I will put links to Amazon on where you can get the phone. So let's get to the question that we're trying to answer in this video. Is this phone worth it in 2025? Short answer is no. This is a very old phone. Even though Apple still supports it, I think you can get it. I think it's got about 2, maybe 3 years of life left. It is getting iOS 26. I don't know if it will be getting iOS 27. That's, for me, that's very unlikely for it to be getting iOS 27. So I would say this is the last software update that it will get. Of course, Apple will continue to give it security updates for a couple more years, maybe 1 or 2 more years after that. But if you're someone who is looking to use this phone for maybe another 4 years, I would recommend looking at the 13 and 14, given that we're now getting to 17. So I would say look at something that's within 3 generations of the latest phone. So that would be the iPhone 14. Look at the iPhone 14 range. Look at your budget as well. But the phone still has pretty good value, still usable. If you're looking for a phone for your child, if you're looking for a secondary phone, this is still a very, very good phone. It still performs very well. You just jump into apps. It doesn't lag. There's no hiccups. You know, the phone still does very, very well. Jumping into the App Store takes a bit of time to load, but I also believe that's because of the network and all that. But as you can see, loading up pages, you're not waiting 10 seconds for things to load up. The phone still performs very, very well. Switching between apps, still very good. Still performs as an iPhone. Jumping into there, no reload. Jumping into the weather app, no reload. Everything still just works perfectly. It is still an iPhone at the end of the day. Apple have a very, very good reputation. Just go to YouTube there. It's going to reload. It's going to load up the content. Bam. You're ready to view your content. And one thing that I hadn't actually talked about is how good the speakers on this phone are. Very bassy, very, very good. If you're going to be listening to music, if you're going to be watching videos, that stereo setup is very, very good. Let's just give a listen to this.
He called and said they wanted the epitome of ambition. I said, well, what took you so long? And then they said,
Very, very good. I have really no problem with this. Listening to content, watching content, speakers are very good, display still very good. So that's been the review of the iPhone 11 in 2025. Let me know in the comments down below if you're going to be getting the iPhone 11 in 2025, what you're going to be looking for, and stay tuned for more videos. I'm going to be filming the iPhone 11 with iOS 26 to see how well it performs. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Cheers.